Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here, and I'm gonna be going over the best decks you can play in Standard right now. We got some nerfs, we had some buffs, there's Hunters going down, Thaddius is going down, but yet all these decks are still playable, so what's going on? Alright, so we have Drum Druid number first, or Dumb Druid. This deck revolves around mainly Drum Circle. To choose one, summon 5/2/2 Trance, or give them +2/+4 to all your minions on the board. You're going to be able to combine these together with stuff like the Disciple, so by turn, it says 7 mana, but we all know Druid don't pay 7 mana for their cards. So this is coming down on turn 5 or turn 6, depending on whether they Life Bender's Gift. This has a choose one, get 2 random nature spells, or reduce the cost of spells in your hand by 1. So if they go ahead and Solar Eclipse this, so it triggers twice, or they just play 2 of them, they can go ahead and play the Drum Circle very early on. They also have the Sweet Summer Child, which is reduces stuff that costs 6 or more in your deck by 1. They also have Topior. So Topior, infinite 3/3s. Fun, fun, fun. So you're going to have to deal with at least 2 to 3 giant boards of minion. Then the deck kind of runs out of steam, but they do this very fast, very soon, and it's a tough deck, and overall pretty budget as well. Topior is the only real legendary you need in the deck. You don't really need Kiri. You can kind of just put in whatever you want for value for that. This is like literally doesn't matter. You can even play like Astalar if you have him. But yeah, very budget friendly deck, very easy to play, straightforward, and it's good to have like Treants back. I don't really mind Treant Druid that much. Moving towards Mech Rogue. So this actually got nerfed off the bat in the first couple days of the expansion because of the lab constructor. This guy was nuts. Ton of people were playing it. Very easy deck to play. I would have to say it's a little bit harder to master just because of Mimiron and the coins you get from Snoop and when to pop off. So there is some finesse to this deck, and the more you play it, the better it's going to get. It's also really fun. The Drum Druid, kind of singular. You're going to win the same way every single game. The Mech Rogue, a little bit still an aggro deck, but there's a lot of the games do not feel all the same, and it, in my opinion, it's a decent amount more fun than the Drum Druid. I also had a ton of success with this deck. I think we hit like top 500 legend with this deck right here that we're looking at. I also made a video on it. If you're interested in that, I'll put it in the description below. But yeah, it runs the Illusionist. The Illusionist can hit the Mothership, which is super nice. Originally, I did run the 7 mana card with the Death Rattle Summon a random 8-drop. It was too heavy. I replaced that with Pawzac, and it ended up working out much, much better. Lower curb. Mothership with the Scrap Heap to get Reborn is super sick. So you go Mothership, and then you give it Reborn, swing, get 2 mechs, get 2 more mechs, get a Mothership. It's really nice. So even though Mech Rogue did get nerfed, it's still super good, very popular on ladder. Moving down to Thaddius Warlock. So this deck, I not a fan. I do not like super high roll decks, but this is what this deck is. Thaddius got nerfed, so I thought that we would stop seeing these Thaddius high roll decks, whether it was the Whomper Druid at one time or the Thaddius Warlock as we see here. No. They're still doing the things with the cards, with the stuff, and it basically comes down to cheesing out Thaddius with the slime. So you discard a random undead, whether it be Darkhan, the Flesh Behemoth, or Thaddius, and then from there you get giant minions for free, and that giant minion discounts all the other shit in your hand, and then from there you just pop off, whether it be like Symphony of Sins, Loken, Darkhan, more Flesh Behemoths, draw cards, Ravenous Kraken to kill stuff to bring it back to life again. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So it also has the Forge of Wills and the Anub. From there you're going to be able to summon a lot of stats early on so you don't die, and it's just a really sick deck. A lot of people are playing this right now, and it's very, very annoying. So taking a look at Arcane Hunter. Hunter did get nerfed recently, but the deck is still apparently kicking it. Even though the Costume Singer got hit, it's now 1/1 instead of a 2/1. Still a fantastic card. Still does damage. Still does the Draw the Secret thing, which is very, very good. Also, the Bright Wing went from 3 mana to 4 mana, but they gave it an extra attack. Still does the same thing. All arcane spells in your hand and the deck +1. Super, super good. I think the main thing about this deck is just how much damage it can do. It's just crazy. And I think that comes down to the hidden meaning, the fact that this pop like procs your opponent. Like spending mana is good for you because then you get minions and those can attack immediately. And if your opponent isn't spending their mana to not trigger your secrets, well, not spending mana at the beginning of games is really, really bad because Hunter takes full advantage of that. And they have a lot of damage with stuffs like Starsung Bow, the Argamar, Kraken Bane, and just generally spells in the deck like Ricochet Shot and Arcane Shot after they get buffed up with the Silver Moon and the Bright Wing. So Arcane Hunter still super good right now. Very straightforward deck. Play the green cards. Hopefully you get good secret shit and you just go. So if you're a Hunter player, rejoice. Your Arcane Hunter is still really, really good. Moving down to Aggro Paladin. So this is kind of like Dude Paladin, and this deck just, you play the cards and you win. A lot of these decks are coming down to just play the green cards and you win. It kind of stinks right now in regards to just skill testing decks, but that's where we're at right now in this meta. This Paladin deck is you play as many minions as possible. You have a lot of draw with the Bane of Music here, and you just make board after board. If any board sticks, you just play Crusader Aura and you win the game. So your opponent has to constantly deal with every single board that you play. I don't know how you're able to make a ton of them. Muster for Battle is a bunch of minions. Outfitter buffs minions. Blood Matriarchs with the Muster for Battle's huge. The Sinful Chef gives you 2 more 1/1s. So you're able to play those. I mean, it's just a deck that continuously plays minions over and over and over again, and that's why it plays Sylvanas, because you even can take your opponent's minions, and then when you have a board of like at least 2 or 3 minions or more, you play the Aura, and then you just win the game. So it's sad. It's pretty... This is very close to pure Paladin, but it's just slightly off. But yeah, it is very similar to pure Paladin, where you want to play that card. That is the mana cost for that particular turn, and you'll do great. It's fantastic. Moving to our last 2 decks. These are going to be the hardest decks to play, in my opinion, right now, and that's going to be the Naga Mage. So this deck, honestly, in my opinion, best deck in the game. This deck is insane. Can win by turn 4 or 5 or 6, depending on how you have your Nagas. If you've saved your coins, your pop-off turns are insane. Most of the time, you're limited by your turn, like, time, not by how much you can do in a turn. So the rope is this distinguishing factor in a lot of these games, just because the sheer amount of mana you get for free with the Spylash Siren, which is the core of the deck. After you play a Naga, refresh 2 mana crystals and then switch to spell, and you get 2 mana crystals. Most of the stuff in this deck is 3, 2, or less mana than that. So you're popping off crazy, and it also even has the Sif in here, so when you do pop off, they happen to clear it, you have OTK potential with stuff like Frozen Touch and Flame Geyser off of all the spells you've generated and whatnot. So yeah, Naga Mage, insane, but keep in mind, super hard deck. Like if you don't do well with this deck, and you're only a couple games in, it's because it's one of the hardest decks in the game right now to play successfully. So even pro players have trouble playing it correctly. So, but if you want to get better, Naga Mage is there for you. Also, we have Control Warrior. This is my brew of Control Warrior, the one we hit, I think, our 11-star bonus with this past month, which is how we hit Day 1 Legend. So in my opinion, Control Warrior, super nice if you know how to play it correctly. Again, it's just one of those decks where if you make one wrong move, one turn, you're going to get punished for it. I also think it's still a double Starfish meta. There's a lot of people playing Mech Rogue. There's a lot of people playing that Control Warlock deck, and they are really, really weak to silence. So Starfish is key in your control decks right now to not get just blown out of games, even though it can still just happen. So yeah, those are my top decks as of now for the meta. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. And I'll also attach the deck link along with, if there's a video to go along with it, I'll put that in the description below so you guys can see actual gameplay with the decks that I'm showing. If I don't have it, well, then I don't have it. But most of these decks I do. So with that, enjoy, and happy whatever the hell day it is.